Thanks for staying with us. I'm Laura Ingram, and in the Unresolved Problems segment tonight, black lawmakers in a heated dispute with the president. The Congressional Black Caucus is calling out Mr. Obama for not doing more to help African Americans who are struggling in this economy.
The African American community has been targeted with the lack of opportunities.
Our community is bleeding, and we are the worst hit. The old adage, someone has a cold, we've got H1N1.
We have responded to and supported the administration and the leadership consistently. And so we finally are waking up to the fact that we are not paying enough attention to the misery in our communities.
Maybe so, but the president's approval ratings are still highest among black voters. Joining us now from Boston, the Reverend Eugene Rivers, the co-director of the National 10-Point Leadership Foundation, and in New York, Democratic strategist Tara Dowdle. Both of you, great to see you.
Thank you.
Let's start with you, Reverend Rivers. The numbers for President Obama among African American voters, they've slipped about maybe 6-7 points. Not that much, but a little bit. My question to you is, with really 34.5%, it was last month, unemployment rate for men, black men 16 to 24, shocking figure. Why is he still getting the high ratings of approval if the unemployment is so much higher among African Americans than the rest of the country?
I suspect that there's a certain amount of lead time between the numbers being published and circulated, and the fact that also the black community loves Obama, as the polling numbers indicate. And I would say that a year from now, if the numbers are similar to what we have now, you're going to hear a very different tone coming from the black community, which should not be confused with black elected officials. Because my view is that the issues that are affecting the black community are ultimately the responsibility of black political leadership and not the President of the United States. So we got two issues. A, the black community is going to give the president probably another 10 months, and then he's got to do something or he's going to lose his base. Then now the black political leadership class, which when you poll them as opposed to the black community, are in a very different position. So I think that the black community, good.
Yeah, I just want to get Tara in on this. Tara, what will be the straw that breaks the camel's back here? I mean, if, as the Reverend said, a year from now, we're still looking at these historically high rates of unemployment in the African-American community, will we see further erosion of black support for the president?
I think that, of course, if these unemployment numbers remain high, that is going to be a very big challenge for the president with all of his constituencies. However, I do reject the notion that President Obama isn't doing anything for the black community or just our larger society in general as it relates to creating economic opportunity. This is a very difficult environment that we're in, and I think African Americans, more than most people, do understand that change takes time. And so I think that Obama has done a lot. He's put a lot of federal funding that creates a win-win.
How has that created jobs? We've seen little to no true job creation by the so-called stimulus. The TARP bill now is being used, we understand, to spend $3 billion to, in part, fund mortgages being held by people who are unemployed. Barney Frank just signed on to this yesterday and today. So how is that creating jobs? It seems to me we're putting money back into a situation that is going to fuel more of the economic problems that we had in the first place. Well, if you people who have loans that can't pay them back, and forcing banks to loan this money.
Well, you asked a number of different questions there, but with respect to the stimulus in particular, a lot of the stimulus is taking place over a longer period of time, but it has in fact stopped the pain. It's stopped the bleeding. Now, are we still seeing
30% unemployment? How
yes, but that number. Because our economy was falling off the cliff. Let's not forget, things were really, really bad. And right now, our economy is stabilizing. That's due in large part to President Obama's leadership. Whether people want to give him credit or not is a different issue.
No. Reverend, go ahead.
Wait, look, listen, excuse me. If you go into any black neighborhood, Harlem, you're in New York. If you go to Harlem, at 125th and Lenox, there's a lot of bleeding and a lot of pain And I haven't seen
And
any,
I would argue that
measurable
and I would argue,
evidence.
Reverend, with all due respect, I would argue that pain
New
would
Jersey,
be
North
that
Philly,
I would
they're
argue
bleeding
that
and there's a lot of pain.
I would argue
and
that
we shouldn't exaggerate. No, we shouldn't exaggerate what the president's done. I understand you want to defend the president. Good. I love the president too, but we should not exaggerate. In North Philadelphia, in D.C., in South Side of Chicago, there is enormous pain, and so we shouldn't exaggerate what the president does, which he himself would not do.
Well, I'm
You
not.
know what,
I would argue.
Hold on, let me get in here. You know what? I have this novel idea. It's kind of crazy, but I have this idea: when you make America the #1 place for wealth creation and business development and hiring in the world by giving people incentives to hire, i.e., tax breaks, tax credits,
1/3
really
of the stimulus was tax cuts.
getting the regulation off businesses back, and stop demonizing wealth creation in this country. If you do that, guess what? Everybody gets jobs.
I don't think
everybody benefits.
I'm a small business owner, and I actually do business in Jersey City, Newark, Harlem, and many of the cities that the Reverend referenced.
Those
and
are
I can speak,
tough places.
and I can speak,
One at a time, guys. Go ahead, Jeff.
as a small business owner to some of those policies because I work with developers who do urban redevelopment, and a lot of the federal funds that are going into these cities are actually helping to create jobs. And while they may not be creating jobs as quickly as we'd like, because we do live in a society where everybody wants it all and they want it now, but the reality is these things are taking effect, but we elected a president, not a magician. So while we shouldn't exaggerate,
Tara.
Reverend, I agree with you, but at the same time, we also should not condemn him when he has made efforts.
Tara, I'm glad you're, hold on. Tara, I'm just glad those districts in New Jersey actually exist, since some of the districts that were getting apparently money and creating jobs didn't actually exist at all. Reverend and Tara, we appreciate it very much. When we come back.